Hey tribe, welcome back. We are continuing on. We're on chapter 3 and we're in the book by Neville Goddard, Out of This World. Chapter 3 is called The Power of Imagination. And before you kind of click away, before you just kind of like, oh my God, I've heard this over and over and over, Chad. I love the book Out of This World because Neville Goddard really explains it. He kind of talks about the same stuff, of course, but he explains it really differently. I mean, he really kind of explains why things aren't working, how to really properly do it. That kind of, when people teach Neville Goddard today, they skip over. So they're, I'm not saying they're teaching you wrong. They just kind of skip over the little steps that either make it or break it for you. That's what I'm trying to say. But anyway, the chapter is kind of short. This might be a long video. The chapter is only 5 pages, but of course, when we're reading through it, I love to explain things. And this is a one-take wonder, baby. And because I'm going to treat this almost like I'm doing a live stream video. One-take wonder. If I mess up, I mess up. You know, I just laugh at myself and go on. We're trying to make this as entertaining as possible for you. I got this temptation right here, this bad boy brownie that's been staring at me. I got my water here just in case I choke, because I choked in the last video. I started choking anyway, and I didn't have my water. But anyway, let's get rocking and rolling. I got my handy dandy glasses on, and we'll be rocking and rolling here, baby. So I got my mic, record my beautiful voice. So let's get going. We're in chapter 3, Out of This World by Neville Goddard. There's only 4 chapters in this book. So this is called Power of Imagination, and it starts off with this scripture. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. John chapter 8, verse 32. I love this verse because maybe Neville Goddard will kind of go into it, because I kind of love the esoteric view of the Bible, how Neville teaches it, even Joseph Murphy, Thomas Troward, because lots of times we skip over this stuff. Like when you hear a verse like this, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. The truth shall set you free if you knew the truth. But what in the hell is the truth? Okay. And all my studies and all my stuff, you know, I've changed over the years. So this is my interpretation of the truth. Okay. When you look at the Bible, you look at spirituality. The truth is, the real truth is you and God are one. God is not separate from you. Okay. And this is all through Neville Goddard's teaching. You and God are one. You and God are not separate, like how they teach in most churches, or how they teach in Bible studies, how they teach. And when you're in 3rd grade going through Sunday school or whatever, like they teach that God was up in the clouds somewhere with the Care Bears. Okay. If you're old enough to remember the Care Bears, you know what I mean? God and you are one. God is inside you. Okay. You are endowed with God's power. That's the truth. Okay. Maybe I went too far on that, but hey, it's all about learning, baby. Okay, now let's get going here. Men claim that a true judgment must conform to the external reality to which it relates. This means that if I, while imprisoned, suggest to myself that I am free and succeed in believing that I am free, it is true that I believe in my freedom. But it does not follow that I am free, for I may be the victim of illusion. But because of my own experiences, I have come to believe in so many strange things that I see little reason to doubt the truth of things that are beyond my experience. I'm sorry, I got some hiccups. The ancient teachers warned us not to judge from appearances because they said the truth need not conform to the external reality which it relates. They claimed that we bore false witness if we imagine evil against another, that no matter how real our beliefs appear to be, how truly it conforms to the external reality to which it relates. If it does not make free the one whom we hold the belief, it is untrue and therefore a false judgment. We are called upon to deny the evidence of our senses and to imagine as true of our neighbor that which makes him free. So even here, Neville Goddard was kind of probably warming up to this. That's what it kind of senses to me. Now, I've read this book before, but I haven't been through it for a while. So when Neville says we called upon to deny the evidence of our senses, what he's really meaning, he's talking about in your 3D world, your five senses. See, hear, smell, taste, touch. It's kind of coming from the saying like, well, I don't believe it until I see it. Okay, when people kind of say that, like they're living only in their senses, what they can see right now in present moment. And the whole point of imagination creates reality. The whole point of going into your 3D world is you have to deny the evidence of your senses. You have to deny, listen to this, you have to deny the circumstances that you're going through right now. You understand? You have to deny it. You kind of have to grow numb to it. You bring no emotion to it. Okay, you deny it because you know all the truth is within you. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. He repeats the verse, if I can highlight properly. To know the truth of our neighbor, we must assume that he is already that which he desires to be. Isn't that so true? Now, if you're just jumping into this chapter, 100%, like when Neville Goddard's writing this, he's basically kind of digging deeper in each chapter. It's kind of started in chapter 1 of thinking fourth dimensionally. Then it kind of got a little bit more deeper in chapter 2. So I'll try my best. I won't explain every little thing because I'll assume that you've been through chapter 1 and chapter 2. But let's go through this one more time. That's in green. So I kind of explain this briefly to you. The verse, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. To know the truth of our neighbor, we must listen to this. To know the truth of your neighbor, like somebody, it could be somebody in your family, acquaintances, friends, best friends, your significant other. Okay, basically, Neville Goddard is talking about the same power that we have for ourselves is the same power as how we look at somebody else. Okay, how we perceive somebody else. That's the same power that we have. So I'll explain it a little bit more deeper, but let's continue. To know the truth of our neighbor, we must assume that he is already that which he desires to be. Any concept we hold of another that is short of his fulfilled desire will not make him free and therefore cannot be truth. Okay, that goes kind of deep, okay? And what Neville Goddard is really saying is, Neville Goddard love to use this example, especially in his live lectures, that, if you have a friend that's unemployed, you don't see him as unemployed. You see him in your imagination that he is employed. He has a wonderful job and he makes 2 times the salary. Okay, you don't see people in their original state. You see them as which they want to be seen. You understand, we have the same power. It's like the same power for us. We want to be that most successful version of us. If you want your dream house, you already have that dream house right now. So you see yourself that you already are the person you want to be, but you have the same power in other people. You see them as if who they want to be, their perfect self. Okay, it's the same way we can dig it a little bit deeper. If you have an alcoholic in the family, you don't see them as an alcoholic. You see them that they've already conquered it. They already got their life back together. Okay, they're living in blessings. That's how you see them. You don't see a person in their current state. That's what Neville Goddard is saying. But Neville Goddard takes it a little bit deeper here. And we must assume the statement of desire. The second half of this, I don't know if it's going to change the color, kind of, a little bit, is listen to this. Any concept we hold of another that is short of his fulfilled desire will not make him free and therefore cannot be truth. It means now he's saying that if we don't see the person that is free, we don't see him at the state that they wish to be seen. Okay, if we see him as an alcoholic, and we get together with our family, we talk about Uncle John. Okay, when is he gonna stop drinking? When he's gonna stop being an alcoholic? When he's gonna finally get his shit together? Okay, talking in that tone keeps him bound to the alcohol. Isn't it so true? Okay, rather than You talking that Uncle John has broken free from it. Talking that Uncle John's got his life in order. He's living in blessings now. What if we talk that way? Okay, that's what Neville Goddard is saying, but Neville Goddard is taking it in your imagination, how you see the person. So we could either set the person free from the bondage they're in, from we see them how they ought to be in our imagination. We don't see them at their current self. That's what Neville Goddard is saying. Instead of learning my craft in schools where attending courses and seminars is considered a substitute for self-acquired knowledge, my schooling was devoted almost exclusively to the power of imagination. I sat for hours imagining myself. Now, this is Neville Goddard talking. I sat for hours imagining myself to be other than that which my reason and my senses dictated until the imagined states were vivid as reality. So vivid that passerby became but a part of my imagination and acted as I would have them. By the power of imagination, my fantasy led theirs and dictated to them their behavior and the discourse they held together while I was identified with my imaginal state. Man's imagination is man himself. The world as imagination sees it the real world. But it is our duty to imagine that all that is lovely and good report. Okay, isn't that so true? Like basically what he's saying, even like Rhonda, when I listen to Rhonda Burns, now she filmed the movie The Secret. It was a while ago. It's still a popular movie. Maybe not as popular now as it used to be, but she teaches a lot on law of attraction. And I forget what podcast she was on. It was a while ago. I think the podcast of School of Greatness. And he asked her, what's the simple thing with law of attraction? How to get law of attraction to work for you? And she put it like this, very simply, is that if you would just focus all day long on what you want to do, and do what you want to do, you would actually have the life of your dreams. You would actually have what you want. That's that simple. If you would just focus on good things, what you want to do, what you like to do, and that's all your conversations, all what you thought about, you would live your dream life like that. That's how simple things are. And it's the same thing with law of assumption. You can't separate the two. They're really the same. You understand? Okay, you can't get into a debate. Well, law of attraction is this, Chad, and law of assumption is this, Chad. In consciousness, everything is the same. Okay, so that's what Neville Goddard is saying here. Listen, but it is our duty to imagine that all that is lovely and good report. No, it's your duty to imagine in your imagination. We're only imagining good things. Okay, we're not imagining that we're arguing with somebody. We're not imagining that we're arguing with a boss at work. We're not imagining that we're arguing with our significant other. You know what I mean? We're not imagining we're having fights and disagreements. You understand? Okay, because when we imagine those things are recreated in our life and we have to experience them. So that's why Neville Goddard is saying it is our duty. If you had one duty in life, your duty is to imagine all that is lovely and good. But it's a twofold. It's a twofold law. We imagine all that is lovely and good for us, and we imagine that is all that is lovely and good for other people as well. Okay. Then he goes into a verse. I believe it's a verse anyway. The Lord sees not as man sees, for man looks upon the outward appearance, but the Lord looks upon the heart. As a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. Hey friends, just a quick little intermission here. We'll jump right back to the video. But if you're really trying to figure this stuff out, if you're really trying to live life on your terms, you really need to check out the description, because in the description is where I keep all the nuggets and all the resources. If you're new here, start right here. We got stuff like the power drops, which is totally free, by the way. We got the 30-day challenge. And of course, if you want to be part of the tribe, the link is here. And if you want to try to work with me, the link is right here as well. Like I said, my friends, if you really want to try to make this stuff happen, if you really want to live life on your terms, always keep up to date with the description, because that's where all the nuggets are. Other than that, let's get back to the video. In meditation, when the brain grows luminous, I find my imagination endowed with a magnetic power to attract to me whatsoever I desire. He's explaining a little bit different here, but what does luminous mean? It means when the brain grows, you're in that drift state. You're drowsy. Okay, you're not asleep. Okay, but you're in that drowsy state. And this is kind of what I wanted to share with you. I forgot to share this in chapter 2. Okay, but Neville Goddard, really in the Out of This World, Neville Goddard talks, he might talk more about it in this chapter, but Neville Goddard talks about when you go into the state akin to sleep, you get in that drowsy state. The whole point of your imagination is not to force it. Everything is effortless. Okay, there's no effort behind it. There's no force behind it. This was kind of what made me think, because I'll get questions around this. Is like, that I lay down, I try to go to sleep, I'll try to go right in my imagination, and it's not working for me, Chad. It's because you're trying to force it. You see, Neville Goddard, especially in Out of This World, this book right here, and he said it in chapter 1 and chapter 2. We'll see if he says it in chapter 3 here. But Neville Goddard didn't go straight to his imagination. Okay, when he sat down, either before bed or maybe a short meditation, he sat back in his recliner. The first thing he did was get himself crazy relaxed. He put himself in a state akin to sleep, no matter if it took him 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes. He put himself until he was super relaxed. He got super drowsy. That's a state akin to the state akin to sleep again. I feel like I'm saying that word so many times. I really want you to know what the state akin to sleep means. Okay. But my point here is that that's what's really meant by being effortless. There's no force. Okay, see, what's happening is you're trying to force your imagination, because a lot of you, and I find myself doing this too, like I'll lay down before I go to sleep and I'm trying to go back. I'm trying to go in my imagination and force the scene because I know I'm going to get sleepy. I'm going to go to sleep. So I'm trying to force everything. Remember, force negates. Okay, when you force something, you're basically telling your subconscious mind that you don't have it. Isn't it so true? Okay, when you're trying to force something to happen, your subconscious mind thinks black and white. So your subconscious mind 100% is going to think, well, you're forcing it. It means you don't have. So if you don't have, I'm going to keep it from you. You know what I mean? But Neville Goddard said the whole point of imagination is be effortless. There's no force or no nothing. But how Neville Goddard did it is that he waited till he was in that sleepy state. Even if he sat back, sometimes he would stare at the wall. You could stare at the ceiling fan. You just stare at it until you got so, you're in that meditative state. You're so relaxed, you don't want to move. Okay, that's the state akin to sleep. Okay, sometimes Neville Goddard would just repeat like, oh, I feel sleepy. I'm getting sleepy. I'm so relaxed right now. Sometimes he would repeat, thank you, almost gratitude. And he would do it like a lullaby, like repeat it over and over and over until he got in a drowsy state. And once he felt that drowsy state, that's when he went inside his imagination, because he's not forcing it. You understand what I'm saying? Most of you guys are forcing things, and that's why things are not coming to you. That's why imagination don't create reality for you, because you're trying to force to go inside your imagination. Okay, and we'll bring that up again, especially if Neville Goddard brings it up. But let's reread this really fast. In meditation, when the brain grows luminous, meaning you're drowsy, I find my imagination endowed with the magnetic power to attract to me whatsoever I desire. Desire is the power imagination uses to fashion life about me as I fashion it within myself. What is desire? That's what you want. That's your intention. Okay, sometimes we want a dream house or dream car. It's very specific. Sometimes you desire your dream life. What is that? You want to live life on your terms. Okay, desire is what you want. I first desire to see a certain person or a scene, and then I look as though I were seeing that which I want to see, and the imagined state becomes objectively real. I desire to hear, and then I listen as though I were hearing, and the imagined voice speaks that which I dictate as though it had initiated the message. I could give you many examples to prove my arguments, to prove that these imagined states do become physical realities, but I know that my examples will awaken in all who have not met the like or who are not inclined towards my arguments. A must natural incredibility. I don't know, like I don't know what word he was trying to use there right there. Nonetheless, experience has conceived me on the truth of the statement. I cause those things which be not as though they were. Romans chapter 4, verse 17. You see, all of this is in the New Testament. Okay, listen to this. I call those things which are not as which they were. I call the unseen into the seen. I want my dream house, even though I don't see it yet, but I call my dream house into the seen. I call my dream house from the 4D world into the 3D world. For I have, in intense meditation, called things that were not seen as though they were, and the unseen not only became seen, but eventually became physical realities. By this method, first desiring and then imagining that we are experiencing that which we desire to experience, we can mold the future in harmony with our desire. I mean, I love this. This is another way that you can bend reality. Okay, like your 3D world really is just a simulation. Okay, it's not real because you can bend reality. You can change it. You're the captain of your life. You're the captain of your ship. You are steering it. You're the architect of your life. Okay, you're the director, the author, and the main actor of your life. Okay, you're directing it, you're doing it, but you're doing it by what you're imagining. So we can mold the future in harmony with our desire. But let us follow the advice of the prophet and think only the lovely and the good, for the imagination waits on us indifferently and as swiftly when our nature is evil as when it is good. Okay, what he's saying here, okay, he said it kind of weird. Let me change the color here. He kind of said it weird, but this is the law of the universe. Okay, he's going back to, since imagination creates reality, he's saying that you should only think about and imagine only good things and lovely things, only positive things. But every law of the universe is a polar opposite. Like if good things are coming to you, the same thing as bad things. So if you imagine bad things, you imagine negative things, those things are going to come to you just as easily as good things. That's what he's saying. So he's saying it's a twofold law, but you really need to focus on, you only imagine, only think, only focus on what's good and lovely. From us spring forth good and evil. I have set before thee this day life and good and death and evil. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 15. Desire and imagination are the enchanter's wand of fable, and they draw to themselves their own affinities. They break forth best when the mind is in a state akin to sleep. Now, what's a state akin to sleep? I'm quizzing you now, make you think. It's when you're in that drowsy state. You're not asleep, you're not wide awake, you're in that drowsy, relaxed state. I have written with some care and detail the method I use to enable the dimensionally larger world, but I shall give one more formula for opening the door of the larger world. And this is from Job. In a dream, in a vision of night, when deep sleep calls upon men and slumberings upon the bed, then he opens the ears of men and seals their instruction. Job chapter 33, verse 15 and 16. I love this verse right there. And Neville Goddard, and here he kind of, in an esoteric way, he explains how this verse relates to imagination creates reality. So I'll read the verse one more time, then I'll continue on, because that way it makes things a little bit more clear. And it's easy to kind of follow since I'm kind of breaking it up with my commentary. And I'm kind of thinking about this brownie right here. I don't want to be eating and crumbs falling all over me. I'll see if I can make it through. I can make it through this video. Okay, let's go. In a dream, in a vision of night, when deep sleep calls upon men, and slumberings upon the bed, then he opens the ears of men and seals their instruction. Job chapter 33, verse 15 and 16. In dream, we are usually the servant of our vision rather than its master. But in the internal fantasy of dream can be turned into an external reality. In dream, as in meditation, we slip from this world into a dimensionally larger world, and I know that the forms in the dream are not flat, two-dimensional images, which modern psychologists believe them to be. They are substantial realities of the dimensionally larger world, and I can lay hold of them. I have discovered that if I surprise myself dreaming, I can lay hold of any inanimate or stationary form of the dream, a chair, a table, a stairway, a tree, and command myself to awake. And I'm right here. At the command to awake, while firmly holding on to the object of the dream, I am pulled through myself with the distinct feeling of awakening from dream. I awaken to another sphere holding the object of my dream to find that I am no longer the servant of my vision, but its master. For I am fully conscious and in control of the movements of my attention. It is in this fully conscious state when we are in control of the direction of thought and I'll come up here. Where was I? I lost my move. I shouldn't have moved it. For I am fully conscious and in control of the movements of my attention. It is in this fully conscious state when we are in control of the direction of thought that we call things that are not seen as though they were. In this state, we call things by wishing and assuming. In this state, we call things by wishing and assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Okay, I'm going to quiz you here. Okay, the whole point of law of assumption is whatever you assume to be true has to come into your reality. Okay, but Neville knew that when we call things by wishing and assuming, and the feeling of a wish fulfilled, okay, sooner or later, if you want your dream house, maybe in the beginning you don't believe you can have your dream house, but one of these days you're going to wake up and you're firmly going to believe, I can have my dream house. And once that happens, that's the law of assumption. Whatever you assume to be true for you has to come into your reality, meaning that dream house is going to come into your reality pretty fast. So in this state, we call things by wishing and assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, unlike the world of three dimensions, your 3D world, where there is an internal between our assumption and its fulfillment. In the dimensionally larger world, there is an immediate realization of our assumption. The external reality instantly mirrors our assumption. Isn't it so true? Okay, listen, your external reality, your 3D world, instantly mirrors your assumption. Okay, listen, this is true. Whatever you assume to be true for you is instantly being mirrored in your 3D world. It's coming to you. That's what Neville Goddard is saying. Here, there is no need to wait 4 months to harvest. We look again as though we saw, and lo and behold, the fields are already white to harvest. In this dimensionally larger world, ye shall not need to fight. Set yourselves, stand ye still, and see the salvation of the Lord with you. Chronicles chapter 20, verse 17. And because the greater world is slowly passing through our three-dimensional world, your 3D world, we can, by the power of imagination, mold our world in harmony with our desire. Look as though you saw, listen as though you heard, stretch forth your imaginary hand as though you touched, and your assumptions were hardened into fact. Now, what does this mean? He's kind of speaking very sophisticated. So all he's really saying when you're inside your imagination is that you bring your 5 senses with you. See, hear, smell, taste, touch. Like you're actually doing it in your imagination. If you want your dream house, You have it right now. Okay, you're living in your dream house right now in your imagination. So what would you be doing if you had your dream house right now? Okay, how big would it be? How many rooms? But you have a swimming pool. What would you be doing? If you have a swimming pool, would you be having pool parties? Would you be having birthday parties? Would you be having get-togethers? Would you be having family dinners or maybe holiday dinners, holiday parties maybe be held at your place because you have a bigger place? Okay, what would you be doing? And you're designing that in your imagination. You're making it as real as possible. You're actually doing it inside your imagination. That's why he's saying, look as though you saw. You're using your five senses. You're seeing it. You're going through it right now. It's so vividly real inside your imagination. It's like you already have it. You're already doing it. But he's just explaining it kind of sophisticated, kind of weird a little bit. That's why he says, look as though you saw. Listen as though you heard, like you're hearing things inside your imagination. Okay, maybe you have a dog that's running around. You hear him bark. Okay, running around your yard. Okay, stretch forth your imaginary hand, and though you touched, like you're touching, you're picking up things and touching things. Maybe inside your imagination, I'm sitting by the pool, eating. This is where my brownie's going to come into hand here. Eating a brownie. You know what I mean? Or I'm sitting by the pool and I reach over and I'm thirsty. So I reach over because it's hot out that day. I'm sweaty. I just got out of the pool. My body's all wet. You know, I can feel it dripping. I can feel the cold air coming against me. I'm a little bit chilly. You know what I mean? We've all been wet. We're a little bit chilly. Even with me thinking about it, I start getting chilly, and I'm in flipping Thailand right now. Okay. And, you know, I can feel me holding this bottle. Okay, maybe I'm drinking coffee. I can hold my coffee mug. I can feel how warm it is. My coffee's hot. I can smell it. I can smell the espresso. You know what I mean? Even when I'm talking about it, I smell the espresso, even though I look weird. Okay. I can actually smell it when I'm just holding water right here. That's what Neville Goddard is saying in your imagination. You're making it so vividly real. You're really doing it inside your imagination. Once you make it vividly real like that, my friends, okay, whatever you want is going to come to you. Whatever your assumption is, speaking Neville Goddard language, whatever you assume to be true is going to come to you.
Really quick here, friends. Do you want a challenge that's going to make every dream of yours come true?
You see, my friends, the issue is when you start trying to live life on your terms, you're doing everything right. See, that's the problem. That's how you feel. You're trying your hardest, but nothing is changing. Now, in the challenge, there's no fluff, there's no hype. It's just real transformation delivered daily. We are going to the core. We are going to the root cause why things are not working for you. All you got to do is go to the description, click see more. Everything will pop up and you will see the 30-day breakthrough challenge. Click the link and it will take you right over to that. To those who believe that a true judgment must conform to the external reality to which it relates, this will be foolishness and a stumbling block. But I preach and practice the fixing in consciousness of that which man desires to realize. Experience convinces me that fixed attitudes of mind which do not conform to the external reality to which they relate are therefore called imaginary. Things which are not will nevertheless bring to naught things that are. I do not wish to write a book of wonders, but rather to turn man's mind back to the one and only reality that the ancient teachers worshipped as God. All that was said of God was in reality said of man's consciousness, so we may say that according as it is written, he that glorify, let him glory in his own consciousness. No man needs help to direct him in the application of this law of consciousness. I am is the self-definition of the absolute. The I am is the name of God. And if God and you are one, that's the truth that will set you free. God is not separate from you. That means the great I am is inside you. That's why I am affirmations have so much power. And that's why you have to be so aware of what you attach I am to. Okay, but that's what you become. because the great I am is inside you. The great I am is consciousness, and consciousness is inside you. As I do butterflies around me. I am is a self-definition of absolute, the root out of which everything prowls. I am the vine. Okay, what that means is, listen to this whole statement right here. I am is a self-definition of absolute, meaning it must happen. I am wealthy. It means it must happen. It's absolute. Okay. I am love. I am prosperous. You understand what I'm saying? Think about it that way. When you say I am, it means absolute. It must. It must happen. What is your answer to the external question, who am I? Your answer determines the part you play in your world's drama. Your answer, that is your concept of self. What does Neville Goddard mean, concept of self? Your self-image, how you look at yourself. Lots of times people teach self-concept, what's your self-image, really kind of how confident you are. Okay, it's self-confidence. So your concept of self need not conform to the external reality to which it relates. This great truth is revealed in this statement. Let the weak say, I am strong. Joel chapter 3, verse 10. Look back. I'm sorry about that. Look back over the good resolutions with which many past New Years are encumbered. They lived a little while and then they died. Why? Because they were severed from their root. Assume that you are that which you want to be. That's the great secret. That's a great secret of Neville Goddard. Assume that you are that which you want to be. Whatever it is. You want your dream house? Assume that you already have your dream house and you dwell there, you live there. Okay, in your imagination. Assume that you are that which you want to be. Experience in your imagination what you would experience in the flesh were you already that which you want to be. Okay, I've explained that. Okay, but Neville Goddard is finally saying it at the end of the chapter. Experience in your imagination. Listen, if you want your dream house, you go straight to the end. You have your dream house right now. You're in your imagination. You're living in your dream house right now. What you would actually be doing if you really had your dream house. Experience in your imagination what you would experience in the flesh, in your 3D world. What you would be doing if you really had your dream house. Decide right now. Well, Chad, I would be doing this. I would be having parties, pool parties. My whole house would be the family gathering. Okay, so in your imagination, you have a family gathering there. Okay, that's what he's saying. Experience in imagination that you would experience in flesh, your 3D world, were you already that which you want to be. Remain faithful to your assumption. Isn't it so true? Remain faithful to your assumption. Don't give up. Persist. Remain faithful to it. Whatever you assume, remain faithful to it so that you define yourself as that which you have assumed. Things have no life if they are severed from their roots. And our consciousness, our I amness, is the root of all that springs in our world. So what I want to say here, let me change the color just in case you're following along here with my color coding. Okay, what I really want to say here is that when Neville Goddard says remain faithful to your assumption, it's really meaning the reason why he says remain faithful to your assumption is that Neville knew, and I said this before, Neville knew, and I keep on giving the dream house example, is that Neville knew if you want your dream house, your dream car, your dream career, you want to be a millionaire, you want to be wealthy, whatever it was, Neville knew, in the beginning, you're not really going to believe it to be true for you. Okay, that's why Neville says you have to remain faithful to your assumption. Because remember, what is the law of assumption? The law of assumption is whatever you assume to be true has to come to you. It has to be proven to you in your reality. So Neville knew that, but he knew in the beginning, you're not going to you're not going to see it true for you yet. So you got to remain faithful to it. You got to persist in it. If you persist in it, whatever you want, whatever you assume would be a factor in your life, because sooner or later you're going to wake up one day and a light bulb's going to pop off, or maybe you won't even have a light bulb moment. You'll just wake up one day and you'll be so natural that you're just going to have that feeling that I can have my dream house. I already have it. And it's going to be so real to you. That's when it shifts. That's when your assumption becomes true for you. At that point, it's going to come to you. At that point, the universe is going to conspire everything in your life to make that happen. Okay? That's why he says, remain faithful to your assumption. If ye believe not that I am he, ye shall die in your sins. John chapter 8, verse 24. Let me change the color here. Let's go back to yellow. That is, if we do not believe that I am ready that which I desire to be, then I remain as I am and die in my present concept of self. Isn't that another way of saying it? Listen, let's kind of start over. Not with the whole chapter. Only this paragraph. Okay, and this is the last paragraph, actually. If ye believes not that I am he, ye shall die in your sins. John chapter 8, verse 24. Then Neville says, that is, if I do not believe that I am already that which I desire to be, meaning saying like, well, if you don't believe you can have your dream house, if you don't believe you can have your dream car, if you don't believe you can be successful, then I remain as I am. You still remain that current self, that old identity. You remain as you are and die in my present concept of self. There is no power outside of consciousness of man to resurrect and make alive that which man desires to experience. That man who is accustomed to call up at will whatever images he pleases will be, by virtue of the power of his imagination, the master of his fate. I love that. Let me reread that for you, since this is kind of almost got a cramp in my leg. I told you this might be like a little bit of a comedy show. I've moved my leg and almost got a cramp in it. Okay, let's continue. The man who is accustomed to call up at will whatever images he pleases, he's in his imagination, will be, by virtue of the power of his imagination, the master of your fate. I am the resurrection and the life. He that believes in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. John chapter 11, verse 25. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And that's how Neville Goddard ends this chapter. He began the chapter with the verse, and then he ended the chapter with the same verse. And Neville in this chapter anyway, didn't really kind of describe this verse how I described it. Neville Goddard really kind of discussed it the way I'm discussing it, just in other books and other live lectures and stuff like that. But as we wrap this up, and since Neville Goddard ended with this verse, let's end it this way. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. What is the truth again? The truth is that, see, when Jesus died on the cross, he broke the veil. And what is meant by that is you and God are one. You and God are not separate. You and God are one. Okay, God is inside you. The Holy Spirit is inside you. God is not separate from you. The great I am is inside you. And what that really means is that you're endowed with God's power. Okay, because God resides inside you. He's not separate from you. Okay, see, that's the truth. That's the ultimate truth. And the way we speak to God is through our 4D world, our imagination. Okay, we can call the unseen into the seen. Okay, Jesus even said that to his disciples, he's talking to the disciples at this point, and he says, all the miracles you see me performing, everything you see me do, you can do as well, and you can do even more. Because I reside in you. All the powers come from me, and I reside in you. You understand? That's the truth. That's how powerful you really are. Okay. But other than that, my friends, let's wrap this baby up. This was, it's about 45 minutes. I thought it was going to be an hour, but it's 45 minutes. But anyway, if you have any questions on this, I'd love to hear your feedback on this. And, you can comment below. You can ask questions. I try my best to answer comments and stuff like that and I try to be very proactive in the comment session, in this section of comments anyway. But anyway, if you leave a comment, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you need some help, you can comment below, and I try my best to explain it a little bit more. Maybe a little bit more better than I did in this video, which I think I did a pretty good job. But it just kind of depends upon my mood when I'm going through this. Sometimes I'm really on it, and sometimes I'm not. But anyway, tribe, remember, I love you guys, and I'll see you in chapter 4. And chapter 4 is the last chapter here in Out of This World. And chapter 4 is no one to change but self. So I'm looking forward to that chapter. And I don't want to go off. I'm going to go off on a tangent here. But anyway, I'm going to drink some water. I'm trying to save this to nighttime, but it's looking at me on my desk. But anyway, tribe, love you, and I'll see you later on or in the next video. See you in chapter 4.